Before we begin the funeral, we ask for those that have a cell phone or pager here in the chapel to please turn it to the silent mode.
First, I just want to, I'm sorry, Ruti, that I'm not going to be able to give you justice. On many levels, I'm not going to be able to, it's impossible for me to articulate how much you mean to us. It is impossible to find the words or obviously have any clarity of mind to be able to describe how deeply we love you. Me, Bobby, Ailey, Noah, and Rena. I'm sorry that I'm not going to have the gift to be able to express it properly. This is the hardest thing that I've ever obviously had to do and deal with. And no one should ever feel the pain that Ruti has gone through and that I went through and that Shoshana and I and our family has gone through. And this is the hardest thing that I'm ever going to say, I believe. I'm going to try to say it with Belev Shalem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for the 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years, of pure joy and light that you gave us. And I don't want to be here, obviously, for many reasons, and I don't want to speak, but I had to, because I had to express for Ruti the joy and light that she gave us. And this is going to sound like this is exaggerated, hespedim about just, or everyone would say this about their child, but I know this sounds ridiculous, but she truly was something completely unique and special. And for those who are lucky to know her, they know. She brought so much joy. Truly, this is everything I'm saying is evidence. I'm trying hard not to exaggerate, but truly, every time I would daven for my children, before all of this, every time I would daven for my children, I would daven for Ailey, and I would be, serious and have all in mind the things that I worry about with Ailey, and then I would daven for Noah, and I would, be stressed and worried about, think about all the things that I'm hoping and davening for with Noah. Every single time I davened for Ruti, I would just smile. I couldn't help myself. And I would, in the middle of every time, I would just smile first. It's very fitting that this Levaya is on Rosh Chodesh, when there possibly may be some limitations to the type of hespedim that may be delivered. Because Ruti always wanted everyone to be happy. She literally would say that. Every time I would get upset or Shoshana would get upset, she would come over and she would say, Mommy, be happy. Just be happy, Mommy. And those words we've carried with us the last 7 weeks, and we will always try to carry that with us. Anytime her baby sister, Rena, would cry, she couldn't handle it. And she would say, Mommy, Abba, give her a passy. And anyone who knew Ruti knew she loved her passies more than anything. And she would just quickly try to give her passies to Rena to try to make her feel better. I'm going to try to focus on speaking obviously about Ruti. I can't explain anything. I can't talk about the depth of the tragedy. I know Hashem owes me and owes us nothing. We just have to accept and stay silent like Aaron. It's so hard to talk when the proper response here is just to be silent, where I just have to wait. Silence is waiting. You know, the tragedy happened less than 24 hours ago, and I just want to be silent and not say anything and just wait. Can't give any answers. The Gemara in Bracha says, "Kol Talmud Sherabo Koes Alav V'Hushosek Zocheh Lahafken Beitamei L'Tahar." Anyone whose Rebbe becomes angry at him and he doesn't respond, he stays silent. One day he'll be able to differentiate between Tuma and Tara. One day he'll be able to differentiate between light and darkness. Hashem, please give our family the strength to remain silent right now and then one day be able to understand. Losing a baby. Ruti was a baby. She would be so mad at me. She heard me call her a baby because she always insisted she was not a baby. She's a big girl. For some reason also, we were never allowed to call her cute. She was very anti us calling her cute. We always had to call her adorable, not cute. Sorry, the opposite. We weren't allowed to call her adorable, but we were allowed to call her cute. When you lose a baby, there's so much horrible pain, obviously, that's involved. But it feels like a double mourning. Because the Gemara, the Psukim and the Tochacha talk about all the different types of vegetation that you plant that won't come to fruition. Where there's the pain of what we've lost, and we lost so much, but there's also the mourning of the unendurable pain of not meeting who she could have grown into, the child, teenager, and adult that we never got to meet. I love all my children dearly, dearly. Sometimes, though, with some of my children, it was hard for me to connect with them right away as newborns, for whatever reason. But with Ruti, as Shoshana could attest, there was something about her where just from the moment she was born, I was completely infatuated with her. I was obsessed with her. And this sounds like a cliche, but it really was true. And people who knew know our relationship, that she was a best friend to me. She held my heart so tight. You know, I was very good at following all my own. I tried to be very good at following my own parenting tips and how to be firm and consistent. But Ruti knew this also, that I couldn't with her, and I always melted and I always gave in, and I couldn't ever be mad at her. One thing that I'm always going to remain thankful for, ironically, with COVID, was that we were both always home. And any time I went out, I would ask Ruti. I would call her Ruti or Ru or Rudy sometimes. Shana called her Ruthie sometimes. I'd say, Ruti, you want to come with me to the bank? You want to come with me to Target? And she would always say yes, always. She was the only one. Ailey, Noah would never want to go. Sometimes they would, maybe. Ruti, always. And she would always say, sure. So excited. And I was so happy that she would always come with me. I was so happy. Ruti was both very girly and very boyish, if you want to say. She was very, very insistent what clothes she would wear every morning. And she would also play football with Ailey, where Ailey would hand off the football and try to tackle her, and she would run away. She was tough and she was soft, stubborn as anything. So funny, so clever. So independent and so opinionated. You know, when she was really young, she didn't want to go to that JCC classroom. She wouldn't just cry or scream. That's not what she did. She would lie flat on the floor, arms and legs spread, to try to disturb as many people as possible, because she was refusing to get in that room. And it was hard. We all talk about this. We had to remind ourselves that she only just turned 3. She just turned 3. The last 2 nights before everything happened were the first 2 nights that she didn't use a diaper at night, and that she slept in a bed, and she was so proud of herself. And I will always be thankful that we slept together in the bed, forehead to forehead, those last 2 nights. She was so proud about what a big girl she was. She was pure joy. Her huge grin with her teeth, and it would take over her whole face. Maybe her face would have sunglasses on. Maybe she was just twirling around in happiness and joy. Maybe she was singing to herself. I remember the night before all this happened. She was just off to the side, singing to herself. The more we get together, together, the happier we'll be. Anyone who knew Ruti knew she had a temper too, but the thing is, if you really knew her, you knew she was never actually mad. She would get so mad, and then I would just look at her. She would look at me, no matter how much she was yelling or acted out. If we just looked at her long enough, she would eventually crack a smile, and then we would both crack up together. She never, ever stayed angry. It's unique for a young kid like her, never. But you did have to watch out if you broke one of her rules. Every morning she needed her chocolate milk with whipped cream and sprinkles and a straw and a spoon. I dutifully gave it to her one morning, all of that, but I forgot that there was apparently a rule that you weren't allowed to bend her straw. The straw had to stay straight. I bent the straw, and she poured the chocolate milk all over the table. Another reason it was hard to forget her age is because she was so social. She made friends every single time she went to the park. She would end up with some new friends. If you asked her what the other child's name was, she would say, "Her name is my friend." That's her name. Anyone who was on our block on Shabbos ever knows that she had friends of all ages. Best friends with her cousins of all ages. She always preferred being at a friend's house to our house. You always have to drag her out of the Pero's backyard. When we went on all of our little dates, as we called them, we always went on our dates. Dates was going to the bank or going to Jewel. Whenever we went anywhere together, she'd be in the back seat of the car, or if we went biking, she'd be in the buggy attachment in the back, talking happily, nonstop, just talking, asking me questions about the geese, just talking. So if she was ever silent, I knew it could only mean one thing, that she was sleeping. Our house is definitely not going to be quiet by any means, but it will be. Because Ruti you always knew she was there. She's definitely made sure you knew she was there. She had to do everything on her own, everything, like a lot of stubborn 2- and 3-year-olds, including picking out her clothes and getting dressed. She had to pick out, like I said, very specific tastes in her outfit. And then she also had to get herself dressed, which also meant, and this is again, literally every single time she would put on her shorts backwards. She would pull them up backwards, then give me a look, wait until I told her that, yes, Ruti, they're backwards again, and then she would start cracking up. Of course, she did it on purpose. You tell her not to touch something, she would just very slowly, very gently, with one little finger, touch. She would never eat her own dinner, of course, but would only eat whatever Shoshana and I were eating, no matter what. If we told her, Ruti, you can only have this food or this food. She could only have 2 choices of food. She would finally just say, "Ugh, fine." Like, I don't know what 2-, 3-year-old says that, and then just pick one. Anyone knows Ruti knows her hair was always messy. It was always stuck to her sticky face because she refused to have it brushed. I don't even know how her face was always sticky, but somehow it was, because she asked for candy, we would give it to her because she was Ruti. Like I said, just her smile, this huge smile, just take over her whole face, her whole beautiful Malach face. Last Shabbos, we were sitting outside, just on their front steps, and all of a sudden Ruti went in the house, came back in, holding in a giant, she must have opened the freezer, brought out an entire carton of ice cream that she started helping herself to. Also, anyone who knows Ruti knows she has this weird sense of humor. On Pesach night this year, she came over to me with a huge grin and wanted to whisper something in my face. Put it on my lap. And she whispered, "Abba." I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you remember Mosey?" I said, "What's a Mosey? Who's Mosey?" And she just cracked up. And I have no idea what she meant to this day, but then it became a constant joke where she would constantly ask me if I remember Mosey. She would also randomly just start talking about the harvest. I'm not sure what that was about either, and start laughing. When she was younger, I said before how she demanded your attention. Again, you knew where she was. If I wasn't paying attention to her, she would take her 2 cute little hands, push my face put it on my face like this, and direct it to hers to make sure that I was looking at her. During COVID, when I was working from home, I was very lucky that somehow she only joined one of my therapy sessions. Just one. But then after that, she was very good somehow. Every time I was doing therapy, if the door was closed, I would just hear a gentle knock on the door, and I would hear her quietly just say, just loud enough for me to hear, "Abba's working." Again, I know this sounds cliche with all kids, but really with Ruti, anytime I was near her, I had to kiss her, and I had to kiss her on her cute little mouth. And we had our special high five that we made up together. And then we would do this gross thing that would gross Shoshana out and get her so mad at us. We would do a slurpy kiss where we would come really close to each other and we would do like a slurp in with our mouth. And we'd say slurpy kiss, Shoshana would get mad at us and we would both start laughing. When my children are born, Shoshana and I write letters to them to explain why we named them what we named them, and to tell them that our dreams for them, for their future. Ruti, here's part of the letter I never got to show you or read to you. I just wanted you to hear it now. Your mommy and Abba's deepest hopes, dreams, and wishes are for you to live a life that is long and full. To live to see your life's ultimate mission fulfilled and completed. to shine with a radiant humility and modesty along with gracious, thoughtful kindness, to use the obstacles you encounter as stepping stones to greater heights, to make whatever sacrifices you can to serve Hashem according to continually higher standards, to use each day as an opportunity to sing praises to Hashem through words and action, to feel fortunate that you are a member of the Jewish people, and to impact and inspire the world around you while contributing to the ultimate fruition of all Bnei Israel's deepest yearning for the Beis HaMikdash to be rebuilt on Moriah. Ruti, somehow we have to continue this mission that we had in mind for you. And somehow we have to continue the mission that you had for us to just be happy. And we're going to try. We will always, always remember you. Ruti, you'll always be our daughter and sister to our wonderful kids. Please be a Melech Yosher for all of us, so we can have strength to find the light in our lives again that you provided to us, that we were lucky to have for a little over 3 years. Just want to before I step down, I just want to thank whoever's here and who's ever watching. Shoshana and I obviously have been in our own universe with Ruti these last 7 weeks, so we don't really understand what the whole community was doing with us, and for Ruti, from davening, food, and emotional support. So I just want to take this opportunity now to just thank everybody for everything from Ruti, out of her behalf. Thank you, and from all of us.
I'd like to begin by first mentioning a Dvar Halacha. There are a lot of shilas about saying Hespedim today. Aryeh has a heta to say Hespedim based on a tshuva for a Moshe. There's a shilah about saying a hesped for a child who's only 3 years old. That shilah was also discussed last night. And therefore I'm asking everybody not to extrapolate from what we're doing here today. There should never be another situation like this. But every situation needs its own shilas. I was not at the Levaya, but I was told that Rabbi Yaakov Zatzal, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky Zatzal at a Levaya for a young mother said that this Levaya is an Esoyan in Amunah. A young woman died, left Yisayimim. It's an Esoyan. It's a test of our Amunah. Klal Yisrael has been walking the road of tests since Klal Yisrael began. And I'd like to talk about walking. There's a pasuk at the Akedah. Avraham Avinu said, Nelcha ad ko. We will go until here. Rashi is bothered by the word ko. So Rashi offers one explanation. It says, it's not too far, derech muat. But then Rashi quotes a medrash. And Rashi says Avraham Avinu walked to the Akedah with the word ko because he had a question. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, ko yezaracha. You will have children. How could I have children if HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me to take my only child to the Akedah? Avraham Avinu walked to the Akedah until he would find out the pshat in the word ko. Nelcha ad ko. What an incredible walk. Somebody else in the Torah had to take a walk. He did not walk like that. When Lot wanted to walk, Lot said, I'm going to walk away from Avram. I'm going to walk away from Avram and Elokov. I want to walk to a place, Rashi's Lashon is Shtufei Zima, a place full of lust, a place full of desire. Two people related to each other took two different walks. One walked Neilcha ad Ko, and one walked away from Ko. There's a little town not too far from here called Rock Island. My wife's family, my mother-in-law, should be Zeichel Refuah Shlema, comes from that town. In that town, there's a cemetery. In the front of the cemetery, I can't walk into the cemetery myself, but you can see this from outside the cemetery. A little place, a little spot where children are buried. Children are buried. It says this child lived for 2 days, this child lived for 2 months. And I was thinking, what gave the people in Rock Island the strength to put their nisyonos in the front? There were no yeshivas in Rock Island. There was a Rav in Rock Island, there was a big Talmud Chacham. But where did these people get the strength? Just for a moment, I'll share with you my great-grandfather who died when I was 19. He was 99. He came to America in 1904. He never learned yeshiva. He was in the Tsar's army. He ran away. He got to a little town. He had a farm. He was a chicken farmer. My grandfather was a cattle farmer. My great-grandfather in 1904, when he arrived, shortly thereafter, he built a shul on the farm. I was amazed. How did he know to build a shul with 12 windows? Nowadays, we don't usually do that because of different limitations. 5 windows on the north, 5 windows on the south, 2 windows on the east. The way it says in halacha, you should build a shul. I was always amazed when I learned the halacha and I saw that the shul on the farm had 12 windows. People could walk the life with nisyonos and take the strength that we all have in our DNA from Avram Avinu. Not everybody made the walk. Not everybody completed the walk, but many people did. There was another walk. This was a walk done by Rus. Rus had a choice. She could walk away. She uttered the famous words, "Vashetelchi eleich," I'm going to walk with you. What an incredible walk. Our Rus, Ruti, also had a walk. It was a change of her name. Name Chaya was added shortly after she was in the hospital. Rus Chaya Moriah. Ramach, the exact same gematria as Avram Avinu. She took a walk. She took a walk, the same walk as Avram Avinu. It's interesting. Avram Avinu said, I never thought about this. Shulachem poem chamor. Chamor are the same letters. Person has a choice. How am I going to walk? Ramach, the walk of Avram Avinu, or Chamor, the walk in life that's going to take me to Gashmias, to the non-spiritual side of life. Avram walked with Yitzchak ad Ko. Walked with Yitzchak ad Ko. If I say, I don't have a heter to say regular hesped, like Moriah began his words. I'm just giving a thought. Ruti's letters also spell Rachem. When the question was asked, where should we put the word Chaya, the name Chaya? In the front, in the end, or in the middle? I called up a Rebbe to ask if he had any Masorah. And we thought that putting Chaya in the middle would spell Rachem. Rus, Chaya, Moriah. Rachem. I would like to conclude. Aryeh and Shoshana displayed incredible abilities to walk on this extremely difficult road. Every day, every step, every inch was an unbelievable walk. They displayed incredible strength. Incredible strength. Individually and together. They displayed incredible strength. The walk of Ramach, the walk of Avram, the walk of Rus. There were challenges that were brought to tremendous Talmidei Chachamim. There were challenges that were brought to incredible doctors who were also Talmidei Chachamim. And Aryeh and Shoshana stayed on the walk. The last thing that we are now going to do, and it's so interesting, it's called a Levaya. Levaya means to accompany somebody. It means to walk with somebody. But it's interesting. We walk behind, and the mace leads. The mace leads. Because in a very special way, Ruti, Rus, Chaya, Moriah taught us how to walk. To walk in the way of Avram and to walk in the way of Rus. As Aryeh said, no one should ever have to make this walk. No one should ever have to take this walk. We don't choose which path we go on. We only choose how we make the walk on the path that was chosen for us. They should be Zeicha, the Sovas, together with their children, together with their family. And we as a Kehillah and we as a community should be Zeicha to make the walk ad ko, to make the walk that Hashem wants us to walk when He gives us these tests of Emunah, as Rav Yaakov said. Right now we're going to leave. We're going to walk behind Ruti. We should be Zeicha, and they should be Zeicha, that this should be the last walk like this that anyone in Klal Yisrael ever has to take. And once again, quoting Aryeh, the next walk should be as we all walk to Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, being led by Mashiach Tzidkenu, preceded by Tchias HaMesim, when all the answers to all of our questions and all the meanings behind all the walks will all become clear as day. Right now we say, Bila HaMovis LaNetzach, U'mach Hashem Dimom Al Kolponim, We should have no more tears. We should have no more tears. We should be zeicha to simcha and to atzlacha. We should be zeicha to be able to do the Ratzon Hashem.
We'll be there in approximately 20 minutes. And then the family will be going to Eretz Yisrael. The Guru will be approximately at 4 o'clock tomorrow at Eretz Chaim Cemetery. Please rise as the family leaves the chapel.